Hi everybody, hey Lorena here, your mystical ex-Mormon. I have not done a video about Mormons in a while, and so this one's going to be about Mormons. Most of my stuff is more about the mystical side because that's what I love, but I just went to a convention in St. George, Utah. It's called the Thrive Convention. It's put on by thriveafterreligion.org people. They're all ex-Mormons, and there was 400 ex-Mormons at this thing. There were a few never Mormons, and I don't know why they were there. Maybe they came with a spouse or partner or something. But it was mostly ex-Mormons, and a lot of these ex-Mormons have been out of the church for a very short period of time. So it was interesting to get to know some of these people and talk to them and hear their stories about deconstructing their religion and letting go of it. Some of it had to do around like the pandemic and staying home and not going to church for a while and finding out that, hey, they really liked hanging out with their families instead of going to church. It's not quite that simple, but I'm really simplifying this. And so there were a few, I met a few, and I'm sure there was more than what I'm talking about, but I met some parents of LGBTQ kids who went through some really awful things with their kids and how the Mormon church treated their children. And some of these were already adult children that were just really shitty behavior, like towards a group of people that you can't express your sexuality. You cannot be part of this group of people that are all going to the celestial kingdom except you, unless, of course, you're not sexual at all. So you cannot, there's no room for expressing your sexuality in this. Anyway, very sad. And my experience was hanging out with these people was a lot of these people really, really loved the Mormon church. I mean, dedicated their lives to the Mormon church. It did a lot, did everything to be a worthy temple recommend holder. So been through the temple, wearing garments, all of these things, serving in some way to the church. And then finding out that, man, this is not right. And so when they started really deconstructing their belief system around it, they are heartbroken. They're heartbroken because they're giving up something that they loved. Because the church is not going to change ever. In my experience, I never loved the Mormon church. My parents were really weird, fanatical parents to the point of not feeding us if we didn't go to church. I mean, so, and I did share some of this at the conference to some people, and they're like, oh, that's very Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrand. But, it wasn't that bad. But my parents, they were that convinced that if we don't go to church, we're not going to end up in heaven together. So you have to go to church. You have to follow the rules. And if you don't follow the rules, we're not going to feed you. And it was actually, there's much more to this story than what I'm saying right now, because it's a long story. But my point is that sometimes with religion, you become so brainwashed and indoctrinated that you will do things that you never imagined that you would do. Thinking you're doing something for God, for your future in heaven, in the celestial kingdom. So it's okay to do these things that actually are not right. And my parents did that. And so do a lot of people. Brainwashing, it can happen more easily than we realize. It's something that I have studied. Anyway, that's besides the point. But we do things we can't imagine sometimes with religion. But my experience, I never loved the religion. I thought from a really young age that something's wrong here. And I had had experiences that did not fit within the parameters of the Mormon church. So I really knew as soon as I was able, which was around over 18 after high school, that I would start exploring a different world that didn't have to do with religion, that was connected to spirituality, but not religion. And so that's what I did. But it was interesting to see people who loved it so much because I didn't have that experience. My parents did not make being Mormon fun or loving. And there was some love in the home. It wasn't completely terrible all the time. There was some love, but it was a really hard and difficult childhood that within the container of the Mormon church as part of our foundation. So it was pretty awful. Yeah, there was not much fun about it. So it was easy to leave the Mormon church. It was like it was just going to happen. Anyway, and some of these people who spoke were really interesting because they helped you to see patriarchy and how we are so influenced by it, and how women are marginalized. Also, one woman got up and spoke around religious trauma, who is a therapist, and that was a really interesting conversation. I think that all of us, who were pretty much everyone sitting in that room, had been through some form of religious trauma. It was interesting. And at some point, one woman, her name's Britt Hartley, got up and spoke. She was the very first speaker. She talked about the patriarchy. But when she was speaking, and she was such a great speaker, so if you want to check her out, go check her out. She's, I think it's No Nonsense Spirituality. Anyway, you can feel as she's talking about this, the collective wounds in the room opening up. Now I'm super sensitive and I'm very empathic, but it felt like there was just this big wound sitting in this room with 400 people, and it wasn't just me. It was like everyone could feel the pain that they've experienced from being a member of the Mormon church. And I do call it the Mormon church. I will always call it that. That was what it was called when I was growing up. They have a book called the Book of Mormon. It's the Mormon church. Anyway. And also, if you want to check out any of this stuff, you can check out Mormon Stories podcast. Some of the people from that were there. Really, really interesting stories about people leaving the Mormon church and the terrible things that they've experienced with it. And there was also there was a couple, and I cannot remember their names. He is a son of Warren Jeffs. Warren Jeffs, who is the, FLDS, really super hardcore Mormon. It was really interesting to hear him, well, both of them speak, but he's the one who came from that background. She was just a regular Mormon. He was FLDS. And he talked about some of the brainwashing that occurs with that, and just crazy. But if you hear something all your life, that this is the way it is, and this is what it needs to be, and this is where we're going, how can you help but not believe it? And the world is evil, and we Mormons are the ones who are, we know. And I do have to say it, I'm kind of rambling and I apologize, and me and my sister talked about this, that there is an arrogance. True blue Mormons, they have a particular arrogance that, and I guess this can happen with all religions, that they know, they're the only ones who know the absolute truth. And they hold themselves above everybody because they know. And men are more likely to do this than women because, they're priesthood holders and women are not. And so we cannot access God and these higher states of getting to heaven without a man. So we absolutely need men, and we have less power, a lot less. Anyway, it was just an interesting experience. I wanted to share that. I did feel like I got kind of re-wounded or opened up my old wounds around the Mormon church. And that's why I wanted to share this. At some point, I will do a really short version of the really bad stuff that I went through with the Mormon church. I do have a YouTube video about it that's kind of long, but it gives the main story. I can put the link here on this video. But anyway, just wanted to share that from a ex-Mormon point of view, what it was like to be in a room filled with 400 other ex-Mormons. And it was really interesting. It's like sometimes you just know you don't belong in a particular society and you have to leave it. And so where is your home base? You don't have one. So you have to create it for yourself, which can be rather painful. And leaving this, I kind of felt that old pain again of like, wow, I just don't belong here. I don't belong with this group of people, and I never will. And so you have to find your own foundation. And knowing that it was sort of like leaving it again. And I felt that a few times through my life, feeling like I'm leaving it again, that I just don't belong. And we all want to belong. It's such a natural human desire to be part of the tribe, be part of a group where you can thrive and really do well. So that's part of the reason why they did this, do these conventions, so you can find your tribe. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Please like, share, subscribe, and I would love to hear comments from some never Mormons or some ex-Mormons. And even if you're Mormon, but please be kind. Anyway, that's it. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.